If I say I'm Korean, the first thing they ask me, oh, so you like K-pop? Bruh. Like,
Do Koreans think you're Korean?
no. Yeah.
Isn't that concerning?
It doesn't sound as K-pop as like Blackpink.
So the Blackpink sounds very K-pop to you. You might disagree strongly, but I think rock is dead. In K-pop, something interesting is happening.
I quit school in Korea at 15.
Now I'm back in school as your host, Mr. D.
For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we are in Singapore, which I think is so iconic because we're in one of the most international places I can imagine on this planet. Welcome to Kpop Therapy. Without further ado, I want you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, my name is Hans. I'm 17 years old, and I'm half American, half Singaporean Chinese.
Hi, my name is Melody. I'm 16. I'm Japanese American.
Hi, I'm Halyn. I'm 17 years old. I'm Korean, but I was born in the US and then I moved to Singapore when I was 1.
I'm Dawson. I'm 19 years old, a bit older than anyone. I'm fully Korean. However, my dad is American citizen, so I have dual passport.
You have 2 passports.
Yeah.
Halyn, I want to ask you a slightly twisted question.
Yes.
So someone is born in the States and grown her whole life in Singapore. Who is she?
I think it depends on how long she's lived in Singapore though, because
How long
like-
have you lived in Singapore? Because I'm describing you without your parents.
yeah,
So,
since I was 1, so that's 16 years.
16 years, yes.
So when I come to Singapore or when I come back to Singapore, I feel like, oh, okay, I'm back home. But then at the same time, since I'm not like ethnically Singaporean, it does seem like kind of off because when I walk around, like people don't think I'm Singaporean because I'm not. But then when I go to Korea to visit my family, because most of my family are in Korean, I mean, in Korea.
In Korea.
So then when I visit them, it feels like I'm on vacation, which is like kind of weird. I'm closer to like my blood, I guess, but I don't feel at home.
Do they, first of all,
So-
do you speak Korean fluently?
I would say my English is better. Yeah.
Okay. Second of all, do Koreans think you're Korean?
No. Yeah. No.
So walking around, they don't think you're Korean.
No.
Isn't that concerning?
Well, I have the same experience as well. Like when I
Yeah.
go to Korea, they don't think I'm Korean.
But you look Korean.
Yeah, but like they speak to me in English or Chinese. Yeah, like
Really?
even though I
Yeah.
go to States, they don't think I'm Korean.
And wait, isn't that concerning?
So this is another like question that I think many people who are not half and half would be very curious to know. Do you switch codes depending on where you are?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
In which way?
It's not something that you can force. Honestly, it's something that happens very subconsciously, I would say.
Okay, so like you were in Singapore.
Yeah. Like, I won't even notice doing it, but like sometimes I'll be talking to my friends on the phone or something, and then I will start talking to my mom, and then I'll start having like a more Singaporean accent. I guess that's a more like very basic form of it, but it just depends who you're around. But I would say that definitely for sure. Like obviously I can't speak on behalf of all mixed people, but like I think that code switching to some extent is something that like all mixed can relate to. Yeah.
I definitely agree because whenever I'm in the States or when I lived in the States and I went to like public school, everyone just assumed I was like black mixed with something else. And like I acted like American, if you could like say something like that. I was like loud and like casual with everyone and like I didn't care how I acted in public. But then whenever I go to Japan, like I'm really like quiet and like I don't want people to judge me because you know Japan is really like conservative kind of. So like whenever I'm in Japan, like I try to like keep to myself and like just like be as quiet as possible.
Right. For you, when you're in Korea, do you act differently than when you're in the States or in Singapore?
I think I do. Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
But I don't think it's just Korea. I think it's just Korean people in general. Like, okay, for example, let's say there's a group of Korean people that I'm familiar with and they know that I'm more comfortable in speaking in English. Then for some reason, when I speak in Korean to them, like all the vocab and everything I know in the back of my head, like I just remember everything. So then I'm like suddenly like really fluent. But then when I'm in Korea and I try to talk to Korean people that don't know me well or that don't know me at all, for some reason I like forget everything. So then I like black out and I like don't know what to say, even though I know deep down I can. But I think that's just because I'm not as comfortable in speaking Korean. So when I go to Korea, sometimes when I speak in Korean, they get like so surprised. And I'm like why? Like like I'm Korean, but yeah. And
have you ever like chosen to fake your identity in front of somebody else for like try not to look like Korean?
No. I mean,
for
I
your
don't know.
convenience.
I just try to be myself, but also sometimes when I'm just like way too tired to use my brain power to like think of things to say in Korean, I just speak in English. If they talk to me in English first, I'm just like okay. Yeah.
그럼 지금은 한국말로 할 수 있어요?
그쵸.
Okay. She didn't black out yet.
I go to thrifting a lot in Korea. I go to Dongmyo and 동대문시장.
Oh, I love those.
And
oh my god.
they're not familiar with English. So
Wait. Before, like we have to explain what Dongmyo is. Because they don't know.
So Dongmyo is like a biggest thrifting market in Korea. It's like a second-hand market. So there's like a mountain of clothes you can choose. They go like five pieces for like $10, something like that. And
You
they do
find
that.
like the coolest dressed grandpas there. They're like some of the most fashionable, like 65-year-olds you'll ever find. And then like you can find, I've collected probably like 30 Y2K phones. It's just my personal obsession. But it's just like really fun area. If you're in Korea, you should definitely make a visit there. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
I've been there with Mando back there.
Okay.
And I try to bring him and speak to him in English because they don't really know English, and if you speak to him in English, they know we're traveling, so I can get like a little bit of bargaining, like more bargains. So
Wait, if you get more bargains, if you speak English, you mean?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like
What?
mix it with Korean, and I tell them I'm American, and they get surprised, and they go like, "Oh, I'll give you for like 20% less," something like that. So I kind of take advantage of it, and I like doing that because like I'm saving money out of it at the end. And
Right.
Some of them they overcharge it, but at the end, like I speak to them in Korean, and they get even more surprised. And they're like, "What is this?" Like,
And then they cancel back the overcharging.
yeah.
They're like, I'm sorry, you're one of us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. Like, when you introduce yourself, then like, what do you say? Do you say like I'm half Singaporean, half American, or do you just say one of them? Because I don't know for Dawson, like, would you say? Do you say you're American? Do you say you're Korean?
I just told them I'm Korean American.
Yeah, same. Like
I would say the same thing. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I just tell them that I'm half Japanese, half black.
Like if I were to ever tell someone that I'm only Singaporean or only American, it would kind of feel that I'm internally trying to avoid being associated with that other part of me, and that's never been something that I've agreed with. So I have no reason to say that so I have no reason to present myself as anything other than being mixed.
Like for me, I don't really know like who would represent me or whose story would represent me because I don't know my own identity.
So there's no one. There has been hundreds, if not thousands, of artists come and go. You haven't found anyone that you felt personally, oh, that's someone that represents me, my identity.
I can't think of anyone that like exactly like that I can exactly relate to, but maybe someone that's like similar is you know Cheshi? Yeah, Jessie. She's also a Korean American singer basically, and I would say she goes against a lot of Korean norms, like probably everything in my opinion. She's not like that girly. She's like I don't know. She's
like
the complete
she is
opposite.
not girly. If
she's like a bro. Like so
she's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like even when she goes on Korean shows and people know that she's like that, they still get surprised every single time because they don't expect it. So I feel like, yeah, I probably relate to her the most because she's more familiar with American culture as well. So
actually, there's a famous Korean American female rapper, YoonMirae. She's very legendary. Dawson knows.
I know very well.
wait, what's her name?
YoonMirae.
No.
So she is a very, very legendary figure in Korean rap, Korean American, half black, half Korean. And in one of the interviews, she said she had to try extra hard to earn the respect because she was half. Sometimes you feel like you have to try harder because you're mixed.
So when I'm in Japan, I definitely feel like I have to work harder to be like more Japanese. Like in America, I've never had that kind of problem, like feeling American, because America is very diverse. Like there's a lot of like black people can be like mixed with like a lot of things and they can still be considered black. But then for me, like I'm half black, half Japanese. So the Japanese side, you can't tell that I'm Japanese. So I just feel like I have to work harder to show that I'm Japanese.
People will see me and only see me as one side of what I actually am. So sometimes, yeah, it is kind of hard to get approval because this isn't like worst case scenarios, but like when people treat me as if like I'm one of those based off of impressions or stereotypes that they already have, then that does bother me a lot because to me, I feel very Singaporean, right? But if they were to see me as, 100% American and I'm just like some foreigner who doesn't know anything, like that bothers me a lot because it's like you don't even know me. You're just going off of what you think you already know, right? Definitely, I've been on the receiving end of that a couple times.
Have you ever had like this catharsis moment where like they were kind of looking down on you, thinking that you're white, and then you kind of like spoke Chinese, and then like you're like, oh, I'm Singaporean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after that, like, most of the time, like, their respect for me will go up a lot, because I'm not, like, some poser that they thought I was trying to be, you know what I mean? Like, if they just saw me walking, like, they'd think I'm just, like, another white guy, right? But if I actually speak to them for, like, 5 minutes, it shows that, you shouldn't like make a first judgment like that. Like I think that, to an extent, like a lot of people do act like that. The mindset of looking down on foreigners, like I understand why they do, but you shouldn't apply that to everyone.
Yeah. When I feel like a culture is dead, I mean, I'm making a controversial statement that Tristan might disagree. Tristan, where are you? Yes, you might disagree strongly, but I think rock is dead.
They could describe everything with one single word.
Because at some point, I think it stopped inviting newer people. And it was very content with those who are already in the mix. In K-pop, something interesting is happening. There's a group called KATSEYE. Recently debuted in an effort to make Korean pop more global. And they had a very particular criteria. Their songs must not be sung in Korean, and if there is a Korean, it has to be very, very minimal. There's number one criteria. Number two, their members must include global members and have a bare minimum of Korean, if at all. Third, their musical style, their conceptual style would also be for global audience. Are you guys familiar with the KATSEYE, how they...
Yeah, like the gnarly.
Gnarly. Yeah. Hans, you too?
I'm not familiar, no. I
Okay.
think maybe I'm the only one out of this.
So I'm going to pull up and read their personal background, where they're from. Okay, so officially, I know they're pretty mixed, but officially, the members are from the Philippines, one South Korea, Switzerland, but I know she's got also the Singaporean Chinese background, and the United States. So they want to describe themselves as a global girl group in the K-pop scene. Now, knowing this background, I will quickly play the music so we can all be reminded a little bit. Does these sound Korean to you guys? K-pop to you guys?
To me, it does sound like K-pop. Like when I listen to it, it just sounds K-pop for some reason. Like it doesn't sound as K-pop as like Blackpink. Like it sounds like mixed.
Quick question. So the Blackpink sounds very K-pop to you?
I think like the older songs, I don't remember the names or like what they sound like, but I remembered that they sounded very K-pop.
Very K-pop, yeah. Hans, you had a very interesting, shocking reaction right now. And I want to hear what you have to say.
It was very interesting. I agree with what Halyn said at the part where she mentioned that it sounded specific part sounded Korean to me. I don't know. I just feel like I've heard that that vocal pattern or something like that before. The verses were very, I don't know. I mean, the verses definitely, if I saw that, I wouldn't immediately jump to my first assumption wouldn't be that it was K-pop. I mean,
Wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, the part that we were talking about, like leading into the chorus, that definitely sounded Korean to me. The other parts, I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you straight away. Yeah.
I think it's about the production part and then the music video. I knew that the music video is a big part of K-pop. They do like any sort of dance and they train for it. They train for their vocals, dance. And then music videos that they put it together is like Korean part of their music as well.
Right.
And
So Korean. Like
Really?
like the music video, you can just tell they're always in some sort of organized formation. The camera moves like as they move, and then like the center always changes. Like you can just tell. And also the song itself, like the part before the chorus, like I feel like if it was like a Blackpink song, right after that they'll be like, oh, Blackpink in the area. Like it's just so like it's so K-pop.
the lights and the platform and the music video, like I could like recognize that was like from produced by K-pop like video producers.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this the way to make something global?
What they're doing, it's not the only way to make something like make K-pop global, because like Blackpink, that's very global. KATSEYE, from my understanding, it's like has like a whole bunch of different members from different places, and it's sung in like English and like I think other languages sometimes too. But that's not the only way to make it global.
I agree. Like how many gnarly videos I've gotten on my phone, like whatever they're doing, it's working. Like you said, it's not the only way to make a group global, but like it's definitely working, whatever they're doing. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, for me, there was obviously, to my understanding, a very conscious and deliberate effort to make it a global or international powerhouse, right? But I don't think that there always needs to be like such a great effort for it to be international, because so many great bands and artists have transcended all countries and cultures without even trying. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of Michael Jackson. I mean, in my opinion, I think I'm just going off of what I know. Like, if you go through his YouTube comment section, for example, you'll see people from every country still listening to him. You know, people from Russia, Africa, Italy, Mexico. So it's like, I understand what KATSEYE is trying to do, but then it feels a little forced, I guess, in a way. Whereas there are other artists who have definitely become global acts without trying, So, yeah.
But also I think that might be a reason why they want to try to become global, because so many people have become global that they also want that recognition. Like, I know what you mean. Like, yeah, a lot of people haven't tried to, but that might be a reason for other people to want to try to become global. Like, maybe they want that recognition, like, because I know, like, 𝙆𝙙𝙙𝙬𝙧𝙖𝙥, like, I don't think she was like that acclaimed in other countries, even though that was in the past. But also Michael Jackson was also in the past, and like, I don't know, I think if people actually try to become global because of how many people are already global, I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's still like, I don't know, it's still good for them.
Do you think including these global members who are not traditionally from Korea or Korean background, will more audience find relatable or feel represented? Like, oh, this is someone like me. I don't think there's anything more powerful when you were young.
Yes. And I think the best example outside of music for this would be, we're all familiar with Son Heung-min, right? I mean, there are probably hundreds of thousands of Korean people who became Spurs fans just because of him, right? So, I mean, by that logic, I guess I guess that would kind of transfer into music as well. If people from the Philippines see, oh, hey, look, we're represented on the global stage by someone in this up-and-coming band, that immediately makes people from that country want to support that. So
the same reason Lisa from Thailand is allowing the Thai audience to feel represented in the K-pop scene. Can you maybe tell me, like, if there's any moments that you remember that you felt personally represented? Like, oh, I relate to that person.
I guess it's kind of harder when you come from such a big country as the US. I feel like you might feel too represented sometimes, right? I feel like people from much smaller countries that are less globally known they might feel that more often, and it's more special to them when they are represented on a global scale. But when you're from such a big country, arguably, the most known country in the world, it's kind of hard not to always feel like you're represented, right? And it's kind of hard because of that to feel independent, like you specifically are being represented,
Mixing nationalities. Let's say that's a way to make it global. I think KATSEYE is trying to offer one answer to how do we create broader representation among, like, your generation. But I want to bring up another idea. What if everybody's Korean, but the music is different? Interesting thing about this particular group, it brought back the newcomers into the K-pop, which hasn't been done in a long time. Those who listen to K-pop continued listening to K-pop before, and those who never listened to K-pop never did. And then this was like the group that really, the way that I was personally, this is personal opinion, by the way. Oh, I don't listen to K-pop, but I listen to this one song, I listen to this group, and then now I'm listening to K-pop. So they were intentionally trying to deviate from the existing K-pop sound by intentionally bringing in foreign composers and producers to really mix the influence of the foreign music, sometimes legacy foreign music, sometimes trendy foreign music. So now that you've watched Gnarly, let's watch this. It's called Supernatural by NewJeans. Yes, so now that we have seen a different experimentation in the K-pop industry, does this look and or sound Korean enough to you guys? Or foreign enough to you guys in K-pop scene?
To me, Gnarly kind of sounded more Korean to me. Because when I was listening to it, like the intro, it kind of sounded a little Japanese, kind of like J-pop. In the chorus, it sounded Korean, like with like all like the sound effects.
Did you catch the Japanese phrases in
I
there
did.
too?
It just sounded like a mix of J-pop and K-pop, just like how like it was like kind of like glittery, kind of like how it sounded, which is kind of J-pop to me. But yeah, I think Gnarly was a little bit more K-pop.
Actually, I thought it was the other way around to me. I actually thought that one was, it sounded a lot more like authentically Korean to me, actually. And I also quite liked that one. Yeah, it was very uplifting.
I agree with Melody. I think this is going back to like 2000s era in K-pop. It sounds like the music video as well is kind of going back to like 2000s cyberpunk, look like Future or something. And their music is like way less produced than Gnarly. I think they take away the overproduced sound of K-pop, and they try to make it refreshing and kind of following the 2000 era of K-pop.
What did you think?
Wow. Like the way you described it, like refreshing. Well, I know what you mean. Like it kind of reminds me of like summer, I would say. I don't know which one's more Korean though. Like I think that song still sounds Korean. And like you said, less produced. Yeah, definitely.
I was speaking to my close colleague who wrote a book about removing K from K-pop. She's an Italian author who has a very deep knowledge on K-pop. And she said this was the moment that she was really feeling the strong female gaze behind the creative direction. And I was also speaking to my co-producer, Victoria, who's behind the camera. She was also the one who told me this is a very strong female gaze. So, but it's an opinion. So I would like to know, for example, what you girls thought when you watched and listened to this song.
I agree with it being like more tuned into the female like ears, because it just sounds very like raw, I think is the word. Or like I feel like they definitely tried tuning in like to the female ears, like or female audience.
How about visual? Did it feel like it's more feminine?
Just the way that the song sounds, it's very like upbeat. It's like you're taking a walk at a park. You know what I mean? Like it's like very like jumpy compared to the song earlier, Gnarly. It's like very different. I feel like it has been accommodated to females. Yeah.
That's interesting to me because to me, I actually didn't really notice anything that would make me associate that song with a target demographic of females. If we never even brought that up, I would have never even thought of that, to be honest. So I'm actually a little surprised that, you know, both of you strongly agree that it's more suited towards females. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Oh, I just think like, well, yeah, I agree with the statement, but also like, I think NewJeans isn't the only group that kind of has that effect. I think a lot of other groups might also have that effect. And in contrast to that, like there's a group called BraveGirls. The people in the army in Korea are obsessed with that group. Like it's you can see so many videos online of them just singing along to that group's like music. So at like conversely, like that group is more for the male gaze, I guess. So yeah, I don't think maybe it wasn't intended to do like to have that effect, but in the end it kind of does.
Would you say there has been more K-pop girl groups that were for male gaze heavier in the past?
That's a really hard question. I'm gonna think about it for a bit.
Wait, can I?
Maybe
Can I?
not even in K-pop, you know?
Here's the thing. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but like historically, I feel like boy bands and girl bands have been more suited towards just females. I mean, I haven't really come across any instances of girl groups that are the fan bases are dominated by males. I know this is like veering away from K-pop already, but if I use like maybe like the Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls as an example, I mean like Backstreet Boys, I think it's kind of obvious target demographic was female. But like if you look at Spice Girls, it's not going to be the other way around. It's not going to be like at their concerts it's all guys. It's still all girls. And I feel like in K-pop it's the same thing. So even though like maybe the music video or choreography might be like more directed at men, at the end of the day, like I feel like the fan base is always going to be like predominantly female.
I kind of disagree because when I was really young, my uncle, he used to be a huge fan of Twice, and he got a ticket for a fan sign thing, and I went there, and what I remember was 70% of them, they're guys, and they wanted to take a photo with them. They give them dolls, stuffed toys, like flowers and all. So I think in K-pop, what I know in general is girl groups are made towards boys, and the other end, there's boy groups for girls. And one of my mom's friend, she was a huge fan of BTS. She's ARMY. So she bought like huge amount of albums, and she was giving away, and she was reselling it and all that. So from my base, they are made towards girls or boys.
When I was growing up, K-pop wasn't this popular or huge. It was more of like a nerdy thing, to be honest. And I would be made like fun of. So it was something that I would more or less like secretly enjoyed. Nowadays, it's so big and so popular. Have you ever experienced any like negative stereotypes because of K-pop's popularity?
If I say I'm Korean, a lot of people, the first thing they ask me is, oh, so you like K-pop? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't listen to it. But if you do, then okay, good for you. And then they're like, why not though? You're Korean. But like, bruh, like, like it doesn't mean I listen to it just because I'm from the country that it originates from, you know? So then like, they just expect me to like K-pop purely because I'm Korean. And then they like look at me weird. Like it just, I don't know. It makes me look like a bad person for saying that I don't listen to K-pop. So it kind of throws me off. So yeah, that's the only thing I would say.
Wait, can I ask something?
Yeah.
Because like I've seen before, like I've literally seen this conversation play out before, and when, not with you specifically, but like with other Korean friends, like as soon as they tell other people I don't listen to K-pop, the other people are like completely blown away. Like they're like, how are you Korean and you don't listen to K-pop? So it's like, I don't know. That's just kind of interesting. Like I don't really understand why people immediately jump to the conclusion that just because you're Korean, like maybe it's because like for many people their only idea of Korea or their only like stereotype of Korea and Korean culture is K-pop. So that's why the first thing that they think of is that. I don't know why people are so shocked that not all Korean people like instantly listen to K-pop. You know what I mean?
I swear they look at me like I like committed a crime or something. Like it's honestly not that deep, but like the way they look at me, it's as if I like did something so bad.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
So then like when they ask me that question, I'm just like, oh no, I'm sorry, but no.
When I came to Singapore, like first came to Singapore, a lot of my Chinese friends, they came up to me and they brought me like a BTS lyrics and they asked me, what does this mean? I was like, what? I was like, what does this mean? Translate it for me. And I was like, because like their lyrics was really corny and I was hard time translating it. They went up to me and they're like, what is this? And I told them and they ran away. And like,
well, millions of ARMY fans, he didn't mean it.
yeah.
BTS writes great lyrics.
Yeah, but like as what Halyn said, they asked me, "Do you listen to K-pop?" I was like, "No, I listen to new metal and rock and roll." And they were like, they looked at me like this. I was like, "Why?"
So there is definitely like the idea of like, you know, like a stereotype there that if you're Korean, you listen to K-pop.
Yeah.
Like with Korea, many people's only stereotype or only knowledge of Korea is just K-pop. So that's instantly what they think of. But because like I think people are a lot more knowledgeable on Singapore and especially America, and there isn't something that really like captures the essence of those countries as much as K-pop does for Korea internationally. So I don't really think I've faced anything like that.
I think it's this Saturday or Sunday there's Oscars. Whether we think KpopDemonHunters is really K-pop or not is another question. Which, by the way, we can also quickly talk about because it's also one of the hot topics that will be discussed in the next couple of days. By the way, we're filming this before the Oscars. So we don't know if it's going to win something or not. But many people have said this is a K-pop. Is that Korean? Is that K-pop? Halyn, do you think it's K-pop?
The songs?
Yes.
The soda pop one, yeah.
Soda pop is K-pop.
Yeah, you can, yeah. But Golden, I don't think so, no.
Why?
Wow. Probably how the dancing part's missing.
Do you disagree? Do you think it's Korean?
I agree with her, but not because it isn't made by Koreans traditionally, like traditional Korean team. It sounds very Disney to me. That's why I was a bit taken aback that everybody wants to call it K-pop. There's like a yearning for success in the K-pop industry. They want to win Golden Globes. They want to win the Oscars. They want to win Grammy. Of course, like BTS won. Of course, Blackpink is on Coachella. But still, it's, they're one of the first to break many records that K-pop hasn't achieved. So I think there's like a yearning. I'm kind of like forgiving that because like, okay, yeah, if you want to call it K-pop, sure. But what can be more Disney than Golden to me?
I mean, to me, I definitely agree with that because if you listen to the song once, I mean, I think you will agree that it's marketed at kids, right? Like, yeah, to me, that in itself makes it like not really K-pop anymore because you can just tell. It's like the main people who are going to love this song is like kids under the age of 12.
Something like a movie, like a KpopDemonHunters, an animated film, winning awards, big awards. Does it do something? Or is it not so relevant to you?
I mean, to me, like, if KpopDemonHunters wins an award or not, I don't really care. Because, like, it's just like a movie, it doesn't show, like, the people. Like, maybe
I want to, because I think it's really interesting because in America, a lot of non-Asian people are praising that this will help with the Asian representation on media. As a half Japanese, you're saying something different.
Yes, it's like a Korean movie, kind of. Like, like how Disney, it has like a different like different nationality, kind of like Belle is like kind of like from France or something like that, and like Ariel's from somewhere, and like Tiana's from America or something like that, but like doesn't really connect to like real Asian people. Like it's just really like not realistic.
Okay.
To me.
I don't know what do you mean by like what do you mean when you say that Disney is like kind of associated towards like certain nationalities? Can you elaborate on that?
No, like you know how like Tiana, like they made the movie to represent black people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like, and then they made KpopDemonHunters to kind of represent Koreans, but it doesn't feel like they're representing because it's so unrealistic to me, you know, like just the storyline and everything.
Does it feel like sort of like calculated move to you? I mean, you know, if something like that comes out, right? Like a Disney character about Hawaiian princess, does it feel calculated to you or does it feel authentic to you?
I think just because the storyline isn't realistic, you know,
the fact that you're a K-pop star
and like you know fighting demons, that's not realistic.
Right? Who fights demons? I mean,
it doesn't feel realistic, so that's why I don't feel like it matters if it wins an award or not. Because you know, like there's already real life stars like BTS, Blackpink, who win awards. And I think that represents the like Korean people or Asian people, but like this movie, it's not really representing.
I would like to disagree.
Yes.
Even though I respect your opinion.
Wait, who were you disagreeing with? Oh.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't, okay, maybe it matters less to you, but in my opinion, I think it matters a lot. Like for KpopDemonHunters to win an award or something, because in the movie itself, regardless of how unrealistic it is, it still has so much Korean culture in it. Like just the food that they have, like the food that they include in the movie, and just like the culture in general is embedded into the movie itself, that people who watch the movie can learn so much about Korea even though it's fake. So I think the fact that it won an award is good. Yeah.
Adding on to what Halyn said, I agree, because behind Golden or behind the movie K-pop Demon Hunter, like there's a lot of people who worked on it, and in fact there's like some bit of truth in it. What I found interesting was the boy group in Kpop Demon Hunters. They turn into the Reaper in Korean culture, and what was it called? The little tiger, and then his friend, the crow, was like, I didn't know, but it was like a representative of Korean culture as well.
Do you think having a culture that you can relate to, does that help you with the sense of belonging in this world?
Well, I think it does help having like a Japanese background. It definitely helps me feel like I belong in this world, because like I feel like I have something like backing me. Like I'm not just like a random person like in this world. Like I don't feel empty when I think of my Japanese culture. On my American side, like it's so like broad, like you know, like black people, they can have like a lot of things mixed with them. So like I've never felt like in tune with my black side, but like with my Japanese side, I've always felt like I was connected and like I felt like I had a place in this world.
Because of that strong cultural presence, you mean? How about you, Hans?
I feel like I belong in two separate, completely different parts of the world, and like I feel very privileged to be like to feel like I belong in two really, really vastly different environments, and I think it's a good thing ultimately.
I really agree. And as Korean, I love cheokbokum, and I'll have it always like twice a month.
I eat it every day.
Yeah,
man.
otherwise I can't really function. and like
That's why I never go on a diet, you know?
yeah,
I have to give that up. I don't want to give that up.
I mean,
Yes.
I work out a lot just to check bookum and like
Same.
yeah.
But I'm not as young as you, so, you know, I have
Yeah.
to work twice as much.
Kind of heals my soul. Like when I'm like really tired of my life, like I just like go home, make check bookum, and like I'm like, okay, life is not too bad.
I agree fully with what Dawson said. But for me, like apart from like that type of culture, I would say language wise too, it helps so much. Cause I think I'm most comfortable speaking to people who are Korean and can speak English. Because there are some things in English that like sometimes when I want to express myself in English, it's so much easier to say it in Korean. Cause for example, like 𝙆𝙤𝙙𝙧, like you can't say that in English. Like I'm sorry, I would explain it, but I don't even know how to explain it because it just doesn't exist in English. But stuff like that, like when I talk to people, I just want to be comfortable, right? So I reach flow state when I speak to people who can speak Korean and English. So I think that just like makes me who I am, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are those who are out there who are still trying to find a sense of belonging in this world. If you can offer one kind wisdom to your peers, what would that be? And as you know, like there are cameras that are pointing to you. You can speak to that camera.
Teenagers of the world, you are accepted, you are loved, and never feel any different than that. And don't let anyone around you make you feel like you don't belong.
No matter what your background is, you still have a place in the world wherever home is to you.
My friends all over the world, they listen to metal, new metal, rap, whatever. And if you guys are looking for like something each genre of K-pop, check out 𝙏𝙚𝙙𝙧. And he did like
Yes.
a lot of new metal stuff in Korean, and I think that's gonna be a new chapter of K-pop for your life.
All right.
Hi guys. So if you're Korean and someone asks you if you listen to K-pop and you don't be afraid to say no, because like I get it, it's really annoying.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for giving K-pop a second chance. All right. Cool. Cut. All right. Thank you.